Hello YouTube, how's everyone doing? It's Professional here. So today I have another top 5 video for you guys on Red Dead Online. And I was thinking of a top 5 to do, and I was coming across a few things in the game, and I thought to myself, these things don't really make any sense. So here we go, I'm going to be making a top 5 for Red Dead Online, top 5 things that make no sense. And these aren't just small things. I'd like to point out that these are some major things that don't really have an explanation, and Rockstar could clear some of them up. Some of them I don't think they can clear up, but some of them I do think they can clear up in the future. So I hope that you guys enjoy this one. Top 5 things that make no sense. Starting off at number 5, we have the point of the lock breaker, which I talked about the lock breaker in a video I made many months back, which I talked about top 5 worst purchases in Red Dead Online, top 5 biggest wastes of money. And I think the lock breaker is still a giant waste of money, but it also makes no sense. Because the lock breaker costs $95 defense, and what can you really use the lock breaker for? You can use it to silently break open locks. But the only lock that I can really think of that you can use the lock breaker on is the ones on the back of carriages. When carriages have these trunks on the back, these chests on the back, these you can use the lock breaker for. But the problem is that you can also use your gun. So you can either shoot the lock, or better yet, you can actually use any gun, a pistol or a rifle, to actually smash open the lock. So you don't even need the lock breaker to open this. And every single box, it has the same thing in the back. It has some biscuits, repeater cartridges, and pistol cartridges. So what is the purpose of the lock breaker if you can use any gun to just smash it open? Why do you need to silently open the lock? Because you're going to get spotted either way. You can't silently open it when there's a guy in the back. He will spot you. So you can't do it until the guy's off the carriage. So what's the point of the lock breaker? Unless the lock breaker is added in future updates, maybe some kind of burglary update, or maybe they do it with some kind of outlaw update where you can break open them into many more things, and you need specifically a lock breaker for that, then maybe it'll work. But right now, it makes no sense. What is the purpose of the lock breaker? It has no purpose. I almost never see anyone use it. At number 4, we have self-defense against aggressive animals. Now, this is the most recent one that has been added to the game with the Naturalist update, and this is one thing that makes no sense to a lot of players. Now, Harriet gets angry at you in the game if you kill animals, and that's understandable. That's part of her character. She wants to protect nature. But at the same time she gets angry at you for defending yourself against animals. There are several animals in this game that will actually run up to you and try to kill you and rip you to pieces, even if you don't go near them. These include bears, these include wolves, even snakes can kill you if you accidentally step near them. Alligators will pretty much kill you in just one hit. So the fact that Harriet gets actually angry at you, it literally says Harriet becomes upset with you for killing animals, and then if you defend yourself against wolves, like in this case, she gets mad. And Harriet's argument would be, oh, just use the sedative rounds against them. But you can't always use sedative rounds. What if you don't have sedative rounds? What if you don't have the varmint rifle out at the time? What if you can't even escape from them at the time? You're surrounded by a bunch of wolves. Do you really think that you can sedate 3 wolves at once, especially when your horse knocks you off and you're on the foot? They're going to catch up to you and kill you. And then better yet, this is what Harriet does when you defend yourself against animals.
You listen here. I have my eye on you after what you did. I've heard what you've been doing. They tell me, you know? Disgraceful. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Next at number 3, we have a timer on bounty missions. Now, this has made no sense to me since the Frontiers Pursuits update came out with bounties. Now, basically, every single bounty target that you go for in this game, they will have a timer, except for legendary bounties. But the fact that they have a timer, that just sounds stupid. So take a look at this. Eliza Burrell, this one target that I'm going after here, she's wanted for murder and robbery. And yet, if I don't bring her back to the police station within 10 minutes, and I actually don't bring her back to the police station in 10 minutes, the sheriff at this point will not take her. So apparently in Red Dead Online, the statute of limitations on murder are apparently 1 in-game day or around 10 minutes. So if you don't bring in the target within that time limit, they just won't take them. They won't pay you, and they won't take them. However, though, if you bring in the target literally 1 second before the timer runs out, they will give you max payment. But then after that, they will give you absolutely nothing. This makes no sense to me. I understand that it's for stranger missions. Stranger missions, the timer at least makes some sense because they want you to complete the mission within a certain time. They're paying you for the job. But for bounty missions, the longer that you take, the more money that you get, and then at a certain point, they just won't take them anymore. How does that make any sense? They should just completely, scrap the timer, get rid of the timer on bounty missions, and instead, maybe if they did it where the faster that you brought in the target, the more money that you would get, that would make a lot more sense than, people putting them on their horses and just basically waiting out the timer until the last minute. That's kind of boring, and at the same time it just makes no sense. So you don't bring them in within a time limit, they just won't take them anymore, and then even if you bring them into the office and you kill them right there, then they go after you for a crime. Moving on to number 2, we have Bonnie's age. Now this is a really weird one. And if you've played the original Red Dead Redemption, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So what exactly doesn't make sense here? Bonnie appears as a stranger in Red Dead Online. And since Red Dead Online takes place in 1898, this would mean this is 13 years before the events of Red Dead Redemption 1. Now, she plays a pretty big part in Red Dead Redemption 1, which takes place in 1911. Let's have her picture right up here on the screen. And we have one picture on the left side here of her in Red Dead Redemption 2 in 1898 in Red Dead Online, and on the right side, that is in Red Dead Redemption 1 in 1911. And this is from the Red Dead Wiki. And you can see right here, I don't really see much of a difference in her age. The only difference I see is the graphics look a little bit better, obviously, in Red Dead Redemption 2. But other than that, I don't see that much of a difference. So this one is 13 years ahead, but she doesn't look like she aged much. But there's even more to this, and this is where it gets even weirder. Now, there is actually a newspapers in the original game, and I was researching this, and I found this one guy's channel, Wamu, which I'll also link down below, where he did a video on all the newspapers in Red Dead Redemption 1. And in Red Dead Redemption 1, there's one article on a newspaper specifically about Bonnie, and you actually save her life in one mission from a gang that she was kidnapped. And in the newspaper right here, it actually says, initial reports seem to indicate that it was a crime of passion, but Miss McFarlane is a spinster of 29 years, well past marriageable or childbearing age. And spinster, this is a term that is used to refer to a woman's age that is past her prime to marry. And in today's society, people marry in their late 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, but back then people usually married in their early 20s. So the prime was considered to be marrying in their early 20s, and even earlier than that. And so she is 29. The newspaper is calling her 29 in 1911, which means that if we went back 13 years, she is apparently 16 years old at Red Dead Online, and she looks nothing like she's 16 years old. She actually looks like she's in her mid-20s. But the story gets even weirder, guys. It gets even weirder here. There's also Bonnie's own account. Now, Bonnie doesn't even claim that she is actually 29 years old. There's actually one mission, this is Armadillo USA in the original one, and I was actually watching one video of this one guy, Chris Miracle, which I'll link his channel down below, which he included the second conversation in that mission, and it actually, in that mission, Bonnie says how old she actually is, so listen to what she says here.
Like a man who's been through the mill.
Thank you.
I mean, you've lived some life. I'm 27 years old and I have rarely left Hennigan's Stead.
So that's right. Bonnie is claiming that she is 27 years old. Now, either the newspaper is telling the truth or she is telling the truth. There can't both be right. But regardless, she would either be 16 or, in the case of 27, that means that she would be 14 years old at the time of Red Dead Online, and she looks nothing of that age. It's just weird. It's just something I think Rockstar overlooked. It would have made more sense if her dad was the one that gave you the missions, but it's just a weird thing that Rockstar, I think, kind of overlooked. And the number one thing that just makes no sense in Red Dead Online is low honor characters refusing to speak to you if you have a $10 bounty. Now, by low honor characters, I'm referring to people like the boy, the Aberdeen pig farm couple, Anthony Foreman, Flacco, Joe, Mama Watson, James Langton, and Shaky. There are several evil characters in the game, and if you get over a $10 bounty, for some reason, they just don't want to interact with you. And this would make sense for high honor characters like, like Sheriff Freeman, like Thomas, like Bonnie, because these are generally good people. They see that you're a bad person, that you've gotten a bounty, and so they don't want to work with you. But as for like, some of these low honor characters, evil characters, why would it bother them if you had a $10 bounty, considering that these characters send you on missions to kill people, kidnap, rob all the time? What is their problem exactly? And some people might say, oh, because you have a $10 bounty, they're scared that the lawmen are going to come after you. But the issue with that is that several characters actually already have bounties. Sean has a bounty, and also Flacco has a bounty. And even the boy, who he constantly brags about how much of an outlaw he is, he brags about how much of a badass he is. The second that you get over a $10 bounty, he's like, nope, I don't want to work with you. I don't want to talk to you. Get rid of that bounty. And the worst is for Flacco. Now, Flacco is wanted in both Mexico and America. He has committed murders in both countries. He's hiding up on this mountain from the Pinkertons, from the lawmen. So he's one of the most wanted characters in the game. And yet, for some reason, when you got over a $10 bounty, this is what Flacco has to say.
No, I can't risk dealing with you while you got this bounty. Pay it off, and then we'll speak. You got that bounty, right? Dealing with you is too much of a risk. Pay it off and come back, okay?
Yeah, you got that bounty, right? Get rid of it and then we'll talk. What? The whole point of him being up on the mountain is because he's hiding from the lawmen. He's hiding from bounty. And if the lawmen can't find him up there, why would he be concerned with them chasing you up there and then coming to him? That doesn't make much sense. So the guy that's has committed so many crimes in 2 countries, has a massive bounty on his head, gets all mad when you get over a $10 bounty and doesn't want to interact with you. How about you get rid of your bounty first, Flacco, before you decide to give me missions? I mean, come on, really? It's just a flaw. It just makes no sense. If anything, maybe they could do it where if you have a high bounty, somehow that'll affect the low honor missions. Maybe add more diversity to these missions. Maybe something else will happen. Maybe they'll actually, somebody like Flacco will even give you different missions if you have a higher bounty. Maybe they could do something like that. But the fact that the missions are locked for the low honor characters if you simply get over a $10 bounty, when Flacco's bounty is probably much, much higher, doesn't make much sense. But that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. And if you're new to my channel, enjoy my content, subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone.